Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another Versus Night. Tonight, I will be comparing Caddyshack from 1980 versus Tin Cup from 1996. So, let's get started on this one with the leads. Caddyshack stars Chevy Chase and Rodney Dangerfield. Tin Cup stars Kevin Costner and Rene Russo. Now, this one, I don't think Caddyshack is Chevy Chase's strongest role, where he is at his best being funny. I think his character in this of Ty is kind of boring, and he just, he doesn't, he has the snide little remarks, but it seems like he's just bored being there and everything, and it doesn't make him a very intriguing character. Whereas Rodney Dangerfield as Cervic in here, he is hilarious. He is the saving grace out of the two leads in Caddyshack.
So what? So let's dance. You're a funny kid, you know. Yeah, what time you do back in Boys Town? Hey, Smells! $1,000 you missed that putt. Doll, could you scare up another round for our table over here and tell the cook this is low-grade dog food, all right?
Dog food? I saw his dog food!
I'll tell you, this steak still has marks where the jockey was hitting. Oh, somebody stepping a duck?
Now, Chevy Chase would go on, I think, with Fletch, and have, he would stand out in that film. He was awesome in his role in that. It was hilarious. His one-liners were perfect. He was great. In this, not so much so. But Rodney Dangerfield, he's excellent. On the other side of the spectrum, though, we have Tin Cup, and Kevin Costner is at his most fun, most goofy, almost, with this character. And his relationship with Rene Russo in here is just off the charts.
The doctor looks at him and says, I can't operate on this boy. He's my son. How is that possible?
The doctor's a woman.
Waggle. Oh, no. He's got a waggler now.
I don't know what it is with Rene Russo, but, there's only one film that I've ever seen her in where she didn't have really great chemistry with her lead, and that was in Free Jack. She worked with Clint Eastwood in The Line of Fire, and excellent in that. Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon 3 and 4, excellent in that. Pierce Brosnan, Thomas Crown Affair, excellent in that. I mean, just about every role I've ever seen her play in, supporting and, or a lead alongside someone, she is excellent. And she has great chemistry with her lead that she's working with. And, this is no different. I mean, her and Costner are great together in this one. So I am going to go with Tin Cup on the leads. All right, now let's move on to supporting and see if we can change anything there. So Caddyshack, the supporting cast consists of Ted Knight, Michael O'Keefe, Bill Murray, Sarah Halcombe, Cindy Morgan, Scott Coloby, Albert Salmi. The supporting cast of Tin Cup consists of Don Johnson, Cheech Marin, Rex Lynn, Linda Hart, Dennis Berkeley, Lou Myers, and Richard Lineback. Okay, so supporting, Ted Knight is fun as the villain in Caddyshack. He is, he's a really annoying, pompous ass, and he plays it really well. That you just love to hate him in the film. So he does a good job in there. Michael O'Keefe is basically your main character that you're following, even though he's not the lead of the film. To me, he's okay in certain points, but you know, in some spots in the film, he's just okay. He's so. Bill Murray, I think, was totally wasted in Caddyshack. He's playing an over-the-top caricature in this film, and he's just... Whereas Rodney Dangerfield plays a funny character, but he feels like somebody that may be a funny, just off-the-wall guy that you could meet in the real world. Bill Murray, no, he doesn't. His character is just so weird, and his obsession with this gopher and killing it and everything. It's a useless storyline that, you know, could have been erased from Caddyshack, and you wouldn't have missed Bill Murray in there at all in this role. Sarah Halcombe is so cute as the girlfriend to Michael O'Keefe. She is really good in her role. I really liked her. I just love her Irish accent thing that she's got going on there. She's just so cute and perky. Cindy Morgan is kind of the love interest to Chevy Chase, and you know, the scenes with her are the only times where Chevy Chase even seems to somewhat come to life in the film. But she is just so good in her role. She's one of the standouts in the supporting for this film. Scott Columbia is the basic rival to Michael O'Keefe, and I think he was more entertaining and more interesting as a character than what Michael O'Keefe's character was in the film. And then you have Albert Salmi as the father of Michael O'Keefe, and he does really good in there. He always was a good supporting actor. Now, Tin Cup, you have Don Johnson is the rival to Kevin Costner's character. And unlike Ted Knight, yes, he is an arrogant prick, but Don Johnson is so charismatic and cool that he makes him kind of likable to where you don't fully hate him like you do Ted Knight in Caddyshack. So Don Johnson, you know, even though you're wanting Costner to beat his ass and shut him up, he's so charismatic and cool that you're actually not minding him when he's on the screen. You're not like, oh, well, here he is again. And then Cheech Marin. It's ironic that Don Johnson and Cheech Marin are in Tin Cup together, because they would end up going on to play in Nash Bridges TV series together, and they were great together in that. But they were working off of each other a lot in that series. Here they don't get a lot of screen time together, but yeah, it's ironic just seeing them in something like this. But Cheech is really good here. He's basically the comedy sidekick to Costner, and there's some funny moments with him in there, and it doesn't seem over the top and crazy. He's just really a grounded, realistic kind of character in here. Rex Lynn is one of Costner's friends in his little clique there that he works with. And it's unusual to see him playing a comedic role because, he's normally playing the more serious, tough guys in roles. So it was pretty cool seeing him being this party guy and having some fun, Linda Hart plays an ex-girlfriend to Costner. That's a stripper. And she's, for an older character in here, she's kind of cute and everything. And she plays her part really well. And then you have Dennis Berkeley. And Dennis Berkeley, he's usually a lot like Rex Lynn. He's usually playing the tough guys, bad guys, henchmen to the villains or bad guys in films and stuff. And sometimes mostly even playing biker characters and stuff like that. But I'll never forget whenever he was back in the day, he actually played in a revival of Sanford and Son called Sanford. And he was basically the co-lead alongside Red Fox in it. And he was just so good. Those two working together were so great in that show. It's a shame it was so short-lived, because in that time period he showed that he could be very funny and very, good in that kind of a role. And in this, he basically picks up right where he left off in Sanford. And he's really, really funny in this. I really like Dennis Berkeley. Lou Myers and Richard Lineback are, they're there, they're serviceable. They don't. I don't think they do anything in here that makes them really stand out as much as the other ones that I've mentioned in this, but they're okay. So overall, I think out of the supporting between these two films, well, I'm going to go with, as much as I like Sarah Holcomb and Cindy Morgan, I'm going to go with Tin Cup on this one. I just think it had the better supporting cast in these films. So let's move on to story and see if we can get a clear-cut winner in this one. So Caddyshack, the story is about a young caddy who is given a chance to compete in an important golf match as a replacement. Tin Cup, the story is about a washed-up golfer who tries out for the U.S. Open to impress a woman he's fallen for, but once he makes it into the Open, he plays to win. I really like both the stories, but I think both of them by the end, even though Tin Cup, it's a bigger thing. It's just a match that they're doing, in Caddyshack. It's no big, huge tournament or anything like that, like in the U.S. Open, like in Tin Cup. But I do think that both films basically kind of end anticlimactically. Whereas in Caddyshack, you got Michael O'Keefe's character trying to make that last shot to win the game, and it takes Bill Murray's doofus character trying to kill this gopher that helps him to win it, because the explosion ended up knocking the ball into the hole. So you get the win, but you shouldn't have. And Tin Cup, I mean, you got Kevin Costner. He's playing the matches really haphazard early in there, and that's what costs him a few where he should be just basically in the lead. And, you know, you're expecting him to, you know, learn from this and really step it up by the end to come back and, you know, place against one of either the player that's in the lead or Don Johnson's character. But he botches it by trying to hit over the water and make the shot, which after 10 tries, he finally does it. And like I said, this is just like the Caddyshack where, you know, except they won in Caddyshack, even though it was a fluke of a victory. In this, he doesn't even win. So as much as I love Tin Cup and its story and everything, it really gives you a blue balls ending there. With that, because you're wanting him to really win this thing and learn from his mistakes, and he doesn't. He doesn't. So I'm actually going to give this one to Caddyshack, just because even though the ending on that one was still anticlimactic as well, I do think that it was at least a win, even though questionable. All right, so let's move on to direction. Caddyshack was directed by Harold Ramis. Tin Cup was directed by Ron Shelton. Now, I love both of these directors, but I think it's apparent that Caddyshack was very early Harold Ramis film that he was directing, and I don't know if he was ready to go from being this writer to being director. And I think a lot of the stuff that he directed in here, he could have pushed his actors more like Chevy Chase. I mean, I think as a director, he could have pushed Chevy Chase to be more interesting as a character. Because if we would have got Chevy Chase like he was in Fletch in Caddyshack, I think Caddyshack could have been one of Chevy Chase's better films. But as it is, he has the show stolen away from him by Rodney Dangerfield, because Rodney Dangerfield is highly entertaining in his role. Now, Tin Cup is the follow-up to Bull Durham for Costner and Shelton, and it's like they picked up right where they left off. I mean, it really is a great collaboration between Costner and Shelton. And I think you know where I'm going with this one. I think Ron Shelton's direction in Tin Cup, even though he lets the movie down by his ending, in my opinion, and it could have been much better, except instead of that blue balls anticlimactic ending, I do think overall that Ron Shelton does do a better job directing his respective films. So I'm going to give this one to Tin Cup as well. So that is the end of this versus night. It has come down to a win for Tin Cup, 1-3. You know, and I know that makes it sound like I don't like Caddyshack and Caddyshack is a bad movie. But, you know, as far as what I've just said, it's apparent to anyone listening, you know, that I do like both these films. It's just I think Tin Cup was the better of the films. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with my comparison in this one? Do you disagree? Let me know in those comments down below. And, as usual, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're by the subscribe button, click that join button and become a Dark Knight fan.
Well, that's the end of another Versus Night. If you missed last week's Versus Night, check out the link up in here. Or if you've missed any of the other Versus Nights, check out our playlist and see anything that you have missed.